right, what up, everybody? Welcome to the first solo edition of the Millennial in Arizona podcast. Someone actually asked me, like, hey, man, are you going to do like a solo podcast by yourself to introduce it? And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Fuck it. And after thinking about it for a bit, I kind of realized maybe I should. And maybe I'd give it a shot and see how it goes. And if it sucks, then I definitely won't be doing this again. If it doesn't suck, then thanks for listening, and maybe I'll do it again. If it doesn't suck, let me know. Tweet at me, MiAZ Podcast on Twitter. Again, a big shout out to Trask Snow in Flagstaff for killing it with my intro. Thank you again, man. I really, really appreciate it. You came through big time on the intro. And Nick Kraft also in Flagstaff on helping me with the logo and the website and being my guru, guiding me on all these stupid things I was doing, making a website. Appreciate it. Nick Kraft. All right. I don't really have a plan for what I'm doing here today. I just kind of wanted to say fuck it and go for it. Sorry, Dad, I'm still going to swear. My dad told me I swear too much in my podcast, but whatever. So I really wanted to talk about why I made a podcast. I kind of touched on it with John in my first podcast, but I didn't really get to expand on it. So I made a podcast because I got a film degree. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm very unsatisfied with my job. I have a good job. I'm a business analyst. So it's not like I have a bad job. It's definitely something I can make a career out of. But I think like a lot of millennials, I'm very unsatisfied with my current employment situation. It's not what I want to do. It's not what I'm interested in doing. I'm good at it and I make good money doing it. That's why I do it. In my opinion, my job is just a job. And I know some people have a problem with me saying that. And I don't really understand why. I think a lot of millennials are kind of going through the same shit I'm going through. I'm working a job that's just a job to me. It's just a paycheck. I don't really care about it all that much other than it gets the bills paid. And I think like a big problem millennials face these days is just that, is that no one really has a purpose and we don't really know where to find that purpose. I think we were all kind of lied to as kids, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of like the type of thing where, they were like, go to college, get a good job, blah, 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 follow X, Y, and Z, check the boxes, do this, do that, and you'll fucking have a good life. And, it didn't turn out like that. And just to everyone older than my generation, you're all a bunch of fucking liars. Really, though. I mean, you fucking sold us the devil, and we got nothing fucking from it. From college, college is like a weird subject for me, right? Because for one part of me, I have to admit college is one of the best decisions I ever made. I met a lot of my best friends in college. I had a lot of great experiences in college. But on the flip side, I didn't study something that I would get a job from after college. And I kind of shot myself in the foot with that. And I kind of don't feel like it's my fault. Like I didn't get an English degree. I didn't get, a super common degree. I got a degree in film. But it's one of those things where like I'm not guaranteed a job. No one's guaranteed a job these days unless you get a degree in something like teaching, nursing, being a lawyer, something along that, like a profession. But for people like me, going to college doesn't guarantee you shit. And without job experience, you're not going to fucking get anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's shitty. And it's shitty that that's a reality. But that's the reality for a lot of people these days, man. And I think for me, making this podcast it's a change in my life. And I'm trying to change my life for the better for the future. and I'm trying to make something that I can be proud of. I don't go to work every day and do something I want to do. You know what I mean? So I want to do things I want to do outside of work. And I think that's something, oh, Jesus, my S's. That's something people struggle with a lot, I think, these days, is that I think the average day-to-day life wears people out, you know? Like, working a 9 to 5 wears people out. Like, it's a fucking bummer, man. Like, and honestly, the phrase 9 to 5 pisses me off, because 9 to 5s don't really exist anymore. They're all 8 to 5s. And your lunch is mandatory, unpaid. I can't just choose to get off at 4 if I work 8 to 4. I have to stay till 5. That's how the state works. I work for a university, by the way. I'm not going to say which university, but I work for a university. And it's just that that's the nature of the beast, is just that, you know, your work schedule is 8 to 5. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, you have to be there. And it's relentless, man. And I think a lot of people they don't agree with that shit and they don't want to do it. But we have to, right? Like, there's no other option. There is literally no other option. And I'm fortunate in the sense that I worked my ass off in college and had jobs and gained enough job experience to get a job outside of college. I know a lot of people who did not get enough job experience outside of college and graduated with degrees. I mean, shit, I know people with master's degrees who aren't qualified for jobs because they don't have job experience. And that's the sad reality of the world we're all living in. And I don't think people understand that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I think college is a double-edged sword in the sense that it sets you up for success if you are successful yourself. If you work hard, if you get a job and you're that type of person to work hard regardless of going to college, you will succeed. But college doesn't just automatically set people up for success anymore. And I think that's something we need to change in society. If we're going to press college onto people, it needs to be either A, affordable, and so people don't go $60,000 in debt, or B, it just provides you a job at the end. Either way. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but maybe with this podcast, if I talk to enough people, you know, maybe we can get some ideas out there. And I kind of wanted to address that too. And the other side of the double-edged sword for college, I think it's beneficial, and it teaches people and it educates people, and education is very beneficial. I think knowledge is power. But at the same time, I think people overvalue education and undervalue knowledge. And what I mean by that is I know a lot of intellectual people who don't have a lot of knowledge about different things. And what I mean by that is they are very intelligent and learn very well, but they're not knowledgeable in the sense that they don't grow outside of their ordinary lives, right? So a lot of intellectual people just stay in their bubbles. They don't fucking expand their minds and do shit, right? But a lot of people who go to college aren't necessarily intellectuals. They're just going there to get knowledge. College is there for everyone who wants the same set of knowledge, right? The same set of facts, the same set of skills, right? So that's great. But it's also destroying the economy. And it's destroying people's lives. And millennials are getting fucked beyond belief with debt, right? And I just don't know if there's going to be an answer to it in our society coming up in our lifetimes, you know? And I think that's really sad because I think we need a solution to that. So I'm one of those people who I definitely enjoyed going to college, but at the same time, I kind of regret it. Because, yeah, for sure, I learned a lot, I met a lot of people, but I'm paying off a debt that I have no way of paying off. And realistically, in my projected state of affairs, I'm going to be in debt until I'm well into my 50s. And that's one thing I'm trying to do with this podcast is, you know, I feel like 18-year-old Jeremy made some choices that 26-year-old Jeremy is dealing with today. And I'm trying to make 26-year-old Jeremy make some decisions that 35-year-old Jeremy's going to appreciate in the future. One of them hopefully being a podcast. And I don't have delusions of grandeur about this podcast, right? Like, I don't think I'm going to get rich and famous off of it. A lot of my friends are like, oh, you just want to be like Joe Rogan, huh? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I like, Joe Rogan's a fucking comedian and he's famous before he got a podcast. I'm not trying to like be something I'm not. I'm trying to be me. And I'm trying to talk to people that I know. I want to talk to other millennials in Arizona. I want to share ideas, share information, and I want to learn. I know that I have a lot of learning to do in my life. I'm 26. I spent a lot of my life thinking I knew fucking everything and I had all the answers. And it took me a long time to realize I don't. And I need to open my ears and fucking listen and learn things from other people. And I've been trying really hard lately to be more open-minded about different shit. And when someone has an idea that's different than mine, I love to fucking hear it, man. I just let like there's shit that I don't know how to do, and I want to fucking know how to do it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you don't even know what that shit is. You know, like for example, over Christmas, my girlfriend's brother taught me how to open a beer bottle with a fucking a lighter, right? And that's something I didn't even know was so easy to do. I've seen people do it before and they're like, that's fucking cool, you know? And I saw him do it and was like, dude, will you show me how to do that? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he fucking showed me how to do it in 2 seconds, and I've been doing it ever since. And just something basic like that is something I wouldn't have ever learned if I didn't just open my mouth and say, hey man, I would really like you to show me how to do that. And I took the time and I listened and I fucking learned how to do it. And it's a small fucking metaphor and I get that. But I'm just saying that simple shit in your life can make a big fucking impact, right? And so maybe this podcast, my voice coming out on the internet to fucking people I don't know, maybe that can make an impact out there. You know, one voice can't always make a change, but many small voices absolutely can. And I think we're kind of in that generation where a lot of change is happening because a lot of people are voicing their opinions and standing up for other people. And I'm not saying I'm trying to fucking voice other people's opinions and stand up for people on this podcast. Definitely not. I'm just saying I would like my podcast to be somewhere someone can come to and hear ideas from people that either are different than their own or similar to their own, and they can relate to people. I think I'm a very relatable person, and I think I can relate to a lot of people on different levels, right? I'm a very kind of chameleon of a person. I like a lot of different shit, you know? I love sports. I love music. I love listening to all different types of music, fucking rap, metal, hip hop, fucking R&B, whatever it is. I love film and cinema, and like I watch the Oscars every year and the Golden Globes. Like I watched the Grammys this year. I try to listen to all the like Grammy nominated artists, like what's his name, little something Uzi, that was fucking nominated for a Grammy this year. I didn't fucking know who that was. But I listened to him because he's on the Grammys. And you know what? I'm a new fan. His shit's on that Bright soundtrack from Netflix. That movie's dope. Check that out. But like, I would have never listened to that fucking guy if I didn't have an open mind about it. You know what I mean? And like, I think that's an issue with a lot of people out there is like, we don't have an open mind about shit. We see things online and we just immediately fucking judge it. You know what I mean? And I think that's a problem in the sense that we as a society need to stop berating each other for our differences and we need to embrace them. I think it's really irritating that so many people are comfortable being dicks to people online. And you know what? Honestly, I used to be one of them. I used to fucking hate the shit out of people online all the time just because I thought they were stupid. And you know what? I feel pretty bad about it. It's not that, like, I think I'm, like, a better person now because I'm trying to, like, change my ways. I'm just saying, I fucking been there and I get it. Like, I have gotten in so many arguments online with people that I like. I mean, I have literally had friends delete me on Facebook because I started arguing with them about something just because I thought it was fun. Like, I didn't take it super seriously, and I'm sorry that they did too. You know what I mean? Like, or that they did and I didn't, and it's, I don't know, it's part of growing up, I guess, but it's also just part of fucking realizing, like, we only have so much time on this planet, and like, we need to stop fucking around in our 20s. Like, I'm really sick of millennials having such a bad rap in society as a whole. And I mean, if I can make a change by that, by bringing other millennials on this podcast and showing some of the cool shit they're doing, then, maybe I could fucking help. Some of the people I've talked to that I want to bring on this podcast are people like Sam Stabila, who, is a videographer in Lake Havasu, or Jesse Ray, who's a fucking firearms dealer in Lake Havasu, who owns his own business now. These are millennials who fucking are killing it in life, and they're not contributing negative impacts on a society, like all this bullshit online, like fucking millennials eating Tide Pods and this stupid shit. Like, no, there's actually people out there making a fucking difference, doing good things, doing things they love, who are millennials, and I want to bring those people in and fucking introduce them to my 10 followers on the internet or 100 followers on the internet or whatever. And that's what I'm trying to do in my other podcast with my writing partner, the Millennial and Marine podcast. We've been writers for, my writing partner's been a writer a lot longer than I have. I've been seriously writing for maybe 6 or 7 years now. Like, taking it seriously, where I actually think shit through, fucking, and treat it like a job. You know what I mean? And I've definitely slacked off the last year. But part of that is because we started working with a guy from Sony, and we didn't feel like he treated us the way we expected. And maybe that's our fault. Maybe it's his fault. We don't know. But this guy from Sony taught us a lot of shit. He taught us a lot about writing. But he kind of got our hopes up in the sense of getting us an agent, and getting us a manager, and getting our shit out there. And it never happened. And I think I got kind of frustrated and stopped writing because of that. And I'm trying to get myself back on that horse and get motivated again. And hopefully my other podcast will do that, So I'm fucking smoking. And I think a lot of the problems people in our age group, our demographic, are kind of having, kind of stem from, and we touched on it on our other podcast, the first episode of this, like participation trophies, or safe spaces and things like that. I genuinely think us as children, millennials specifically, were kind of lied to, in the sense that we were all told you're unique, you're an individual, you can change the world, you can do whatever you want to do, just shit like that, whatever it fucking is. You all have fucking heard that shit before. But the thing is, some of it's true. You are unique. You are an individual. For sure. There is no other you, right? I will always be me and you will always be you. There is no fucking debate about that, right? But people can't always change the world. There is not a high school full of 600 seniors where every single one of them can change the world. Maybe together, maybe they can. Maybe they can group up, do something together. But all of them individually, no. And I think that's the problem. I think it's like we have this weird individualistic mentality. Like, it's instant gratification at your fingertips, It's like, ooh, I put this thing on Instagram. Where's all my likes? And it's like, it's always me first, me first, me first, instead of we and us, you know? And I think that's like, the weirdest thing about our generation is like all these people I know are like, oh, you know, like I'm not making a difference. You know, my job, I'm not doing that much. And it's like, why do they think about just them? Like, what does your department do? What does your team do? Like, what are they contributing? Like, why is it just your job specifically? And I relate to that. I get it 100%. Like, I have always wanted to make a difference at my work and make a change and be a leader and, you know, like lead a revolution or whatever the fuck it is. But in reality, I can't. And that's not my place. And that's not my job. And I think a lot of people that are millennials are just trying to figure out, like, what is my place? You know what I mean? What am I going to do in the future? Where do I belong on this planet? Because we've been told, you belong somewhere. You belong somewhere. You are unique. But no one ever told us where we fit in. And I think that's the most frustrating thing, is no one fucking told us, right? Everything was structured. Everything, every step along the fucking way. And then we get to adulthood and it's not structured. And you know why it's not structured? Because even the people who fucking run the shit have no idea what's going on. We live in a completely new fucking society, people. And I think people need to realize that. 30 years ago, adulthood was not the same as it is today. It's just not. Fucking cell phones did not exist 30 years ago. Think about that. Just think about they didn't exist 15 years ago. Okay, they did. Smartphones didn't exist 15 years ago. Cell phones for sure did. But I mean, 30 years ago, adults didn't go to work and have to work on their cell phone or get an email on their cell phone. They didn't go home and check emails at work all fucking day. Or I mean at home all fucking day while they were fucking at home resting. People went home and they stopped working. People now go home and keep working. Like, how's that okay? And they're constantly connected. Their boss fucking texts them 10 times a day. Their fucking girlfriend texts them 10 times a day. Their wife, their husband, their brother, their sister, their fucking kids, whatever it is, man. It's just like we're constantly like getting dragged down, and no one knows what to do about it. And we haven't changed shit. We've been on these 40-hour work weeks for so long, but we're automating everything. Everything's computer-based. Why are we still working so much? We can't figure that shit out? Like, we can't give some kind of universal income or something so that people have a little bit of relief? Germany, get this shit, Germany just instituted a 28-hour fucking work week. Google it, motherfuckers. Google it. Germany. Here, I'm fucking doing it right now. Germany, 28-hour work week. Fucking top hit. CNN Money. The Telegraph Co. UK. Financial Times. It's not fake news, people. Germany union wins right to 28-hour working week and a 4.3% pay raise. It is happening other places. It's just not fucking happening here. And we're supposed to be number one, make America great again. Dude, we're last in so many things. Like, we need to be the ones changing the way fucking people live, man. And for the better. Like, why are we fucking slaves to these stupid systems that we don't want to be a part of? If you worked a 28-hour work week, you don't think you'd have more time for more creative shit that you want to do? Like, I came home every day after work and busted my ass making this podcast for about 2 months. I was researching. I didn't know how to make a podcast. Nothing, man. I figured it all out, and I ordered shit, and I spent money, and I spent time, and I did it. It was exhausting, and I honestly didn't want to go through with it multiple times. And that's only because I would come home from a 40-hour work week exhausted, and I wouldn't want to do anything other than sit on the couch. And I just think that's such a problem. Like, we live in the most advanced society in the world ever to exist, and we're working harder than ever? Okay, maybe not harder than ever. Jesus, that's an overstatement. But you know what I mean. Like, why can't people enjoy their lives? You know, why is my generation buried in debt? Why can't someone just go on the computer and delete my loans? Like, why someone have to get fucking rich off of that? My projected loans, if I pay off the minimum payment for 25 years, I will have paid off over $30,000 in interest. That's insane. That's insane. Why is someone allowed to make that money on my education? That's nuts. I know this podcast turned into a lot of talking about college and how unfair it is, but I think that's very relatable to my generation. I think a lot of us are really buried in debt. And it's something that, I mean, me personally, I think about all the time. I think about it like every day. I mean, I wake up and I know I'm in debt. I know I'm in debt. And I know I owe money to someone else for something that I got a piece of paper for 5 years ago. And I think that's nuts. And it's not like I'm talking about it because I'm bitching about it. Like, I'm talking about it mostly because I want to raise awareness to how I feel about it for the future. I genuinely don't think this education system that we have or this college system that we have right now should be in place 30 years from now. There's no fucking way. We need to get rid of some degrees. People don't need to be earning degrees in pointless fucking shit that don't have jobs. I'm sorry. You should be able to study shit for free that you can't get a job in. You want to get a fucking degree in English and not teach English? Great. That degree's free because you can't get a job in it. You want to get a degree in philosophy? Great. That shit's free because you can't get a job in it. I mean, I'm just saying basic shit. Right? And I'm just saying we got to think about this shit collectively as a fucking culture for the future because shit's only gonna get worse. Global warming, it's a real fucking thing. Right? And I want people to know I'm not a fucking leftist and I'm not on the right. I'm somewhere in the fucking middle. Okay? I like guns and I like legalizing pot and I like free education. You know, all conflicting ideas. I'm just saying, if we have enough money to build a fucking wall, we have enough money to give some people some better health care and mental health care on this fucking planet. Just saying. If we have $80 billion to spend on defense funding and we can have a defense parade, why can't we give veterans better health care? Why? It's basic shit. Basic shit. We have enough money for nukes and missiles, but we can't take care of our veterans after they fucking come home. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of my friends get mad at me when I preach about democratic shit. But one thing is, Republicans aren't taking fucking care of veterans. And neither are Democrats. And someone needs to fucking do something about it. And I'm sorry, now I'm just fucking ranting. Jesus Christ, maybe I should just wrap this shit up. How far am I? 30 minutes? We good. Seriously, guys, we need to do something. This is what I want my podcast to be about. I want to have genuine conversations with people. If people disagree about shit, I want to talk about it. I want to know why people think the things they think. I love it. I think it's fascinating. People's minds work in fucking fascinating ways. Some of the smartest people I've ever met have had really fucking weird ideals about religion or about, basic human morals or like what is it right? Okay, and that's one thing I want to address too. People need to stop talking about things as rights. And I'm probably going to do it a couple times, but I'm trying not to. People say healthcare is a right. No, it's not. You don't have a right to tell another human to give you healthcare, right? Because that's what you're saying. You're saying I have a right to tell another human who is educated and practicing medicine to work on me for free. They owe me something for free, and I am doing nothing for them. No, that's not a right. We have rights. They're in the Bill of Rights. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That shit, right? A right does not fucking conflict with another person, okay? plain and simple. You don't have a right to health care. I do think people should be provided health care by the government, though. We are one of the most advanced countries on the planet. We're the only advanced country without fucking universal health care. It doesn't make sense, man. And I don't mean like universal health care like people should get boob jobs for free. I mean, you have the flu, you should get treated by a doctor for free. You're dying, you get saved for free. You don't go home with a $10,000 medical bill. And I think that's another thing people don't understand is I think people have trouble putting themselves in other shoes, man. And I think people just need to take a step back and fucking listen to people that they may know and be like, damn, I was unaware that could happen. I know people for sure, who have gone to the hospital for basic shit and come home with $30,000 in debt. Why? Because they had a life-threatening illness and they wanted to live? They deserve to be in debt the rest of their lives? How's that fair? Why is that okay? Like, every elderly person goes to the hospital, right? Why are we just taking away their fucking savings every time they go to the hospital? Why? It doesn't make sense, man. It's fucking highway robbery. We shouldn't have surgeons who are shitty surgeons who get paid nothing and surgeons who are good surgeons who get paid a shitload, right? We should just have surgeons who are all of some same standard, right? Like, sure, there's going to be good ones, but I don't think that one gets to be a fucking millionaire, right? Just because he's better at heart transplants. Like, the girl from the fucking poverty suburbs gets a worse heart transplant than the girl from the rich white suburbs. Why? Why is that fair? It's not. It's fucking crazy. And that is white privilege, folks. We'll touch on that, too. I want to touch on a lot of shit in this podcast. White privilege exists. I'm white as fuck. I can tell you about it. If you don't think white privilege exists, it's because you're white. You're fucking stupid. As simple as that. I'm in Arizona. I grew up in a town of mostly white people. I'll tell you straight up, white privilege exists on every fucking playing field, man. Like, it's absurd. I mean, the only thing I could possibly think of if white privilege doesn't exist, oh man, I don't know. Combat sports, probably. I'm going to go with that. Sports in general. We'll say that. I don't know. Probably easier for white people to get scholarships, so maybe that's not fair either. Yeah, white privilege. Fucking super fucked up. We could talk about that. I can't wait to have someone on to talk about that. Fucking debate that all day. Anyways, now I'm just fucking ranting on and on. Legitimately, if you want to support my podcast, please do. I'm MiAZ podcast on Twitter. Hit me up. Follow me on Instagram. Jeremy Cox on Instagram. My website is millennialinazpodcast.com. I am on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. I'm working on getting on YouTube and Spotify. If you like my shit, please let me know. If you don't listen. If you want to be on my podcast, please hit me up. If you're a millennial in Arizona, love to have you. If you're not, still love to have you. I think I can learn a lot from people. I think we can share a lot with people on here. I really hope people listen to it. I hope they enjoy it. If you like stories, follow Millennial and Marine Podcast on all the same platforms. Hit us up. My writing partner John and I will be putting a bunch of stories up soon. Yeah, that's about it. Sorry for the long rant. If you listened the whole way through, love you. Can't wait to have you on. All right, thanks everyone. See you later. Peace.